Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy, Healthy Guys.
So today is another episode of our Real Talk segment of the Happy, Healthy Life, where we bring you the raw truth when it comes to health and wellness, the things that people just are not teaching you. So let's talk today. So Real Talk is this. We're going to talk about the most common mistakes that you are making when it comes to your health. The first one being this is the belief that you've been somehow programmed for sickness and disease. And that's something that you've been taught your entire life. That right there is what you've been taught by the medical industrial complex, is to believe that you are broken. At some point in your life, you are going to be hit with a disease.
Out of nowhere,
whether it's heart disease, cancer, dementia, Parkinson's, diabetes, whatever it is, that you've been programmed for that, and it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when it's going to happen. That right there is a mistake in believing that you were programmed for sickness and disease. What's the reality?
Yeah, the reality is, first off, all that's a bunch of bull crap, is that you're not programmed for disease. You're actually programmed for health. You are fearfully and you're wonderfully made. You aren't junk. You're not genetically flawed. There's nothing wrong with you. God didn't leave anything out. You are programmed for health. We've said this a million times, and guess what we're going to keep saying, Dr. Rob? As long as we got a breath and a pulse on this planet, is health is the normal, disease is the abnormal, and health and disease are the exact same thing. It's the body doing the right thing under the circumstances. And of course, this is what we love to do. We love to create a whole new set of circumstances, create an environment where great things are more likely to happen. That's what you should be focusing on. You don't need more healing. You need less interference. So I think the mistake that we make based off this flawed way of thinking that we're broken and that this is just going to happen, that all these diseases are now been normalized when they're all the same damn thing, all downstream metabolic dysfunction, is here's what we do. We basically treat health like it is a noun, like it's an entity, like it's just something that just exists without even thinking about it. And here's the problem with that. Health is not a noun. It's actually a verb. It's an action step. And so you're either building your health or you're building disease. I didn't say you're building more healing. You've already got plenty of healing, but you're doing things that support that process, or you're doing things that interfere with that process. Right. And so I always give an example. I like to connect the dots here. If you can imagine, you didn't brush your teeth. You didn't work on anything that would help maintain and support your oral hygiene. Do you think it would probably just maintain itself over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years?
No, impossible.
It'd be impossible. If you didn't ever, let's say you're in a relationship. Now, I'm definitely not going to give relationship advice here. Don't worry, we're not going down that road today. But if you can imagine, if you could put yourself in that situation, I'm sure a lot of you are in a relationship and you didn't even work on it. You didn't talk to your significant other. You didn't think about your significant other. You didn't really try to do anything to help support that relationship. I can promise you that relationship, it's not going to get better. It's not going to maintain itself. In fact, nothing that you value and care about maintains itself without investing time and money. And a relationship would go astray. Your walk with God would go away if you don't talk to God and invest in that. Your health is the exact same way. And this is why you have to be intentional, knowing who you are, who God made you to be, and then being active and being intentional about the way you conduct and live your life. This is where we can help you. We help thousands and thousands of people, but you've got to change that mindset. You're not broken. You're healed. Stop interfering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that, in fact, I was literally just having a conversation earlier today with my life coach about this.
Okay.
And what we're talking about is how, you go through seasons and different times throughout your life, where
Yes.
you may be going through a season where you are making sure that you're going internal to become a better person for relationships, or maybe it's health that you're focusing on, or maybe it's finances that you're focusing on. And sometimes you can get yourself out of balance, but really I think that's okay, right? It just depends on at that point in your life, what is it in your life that needs the most focus, right? He goes, but then you also have to remember that as you are focusing on those different things, you still have to be doing things on a daily basis to be able to keep yourself at that baseline for everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you can't just say, hey, you know what? I'm completely focusing on relationships right now, and then ignore the fact that, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment isn't going to pay itself, right? You still have to be doing the things like going to work on a daily basis, doing the things to build wealth on a daily basis, but really just doing those simple baseline things every single day. So we always talk to you about is doing those baseline things that you should be doing every single day when it does come to your health, so that you're always building it, you're not ever losing it. And that's very important. So when we talk about those things, whether it be, just making sure that we're putting the right nutrients in our body, right? We're not putting nutrients in our body because our body is somehow broken.
Or that we're counting calories.
Right, or we're counting calories because we need to lose weight, or we're sick, or whatever it is. We're putting good, healthy nutrients because that right there is what keeps our body at this state, this baseline state that it needs in order to be able to be healthy every single day. And there's other times where we get like, you know what, we're going really hard at this thing right now to be able to make sure that we're really boosting it and getting ourselves healthy. But let's talk about some of the things that we should be doing every single day. And I think that starts with the belief system. Like you just said, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Mm-hmm. The belief system that our body is designed to heal. Our body is designed to be well. Yep. Our body is designed to repair itself.
Keep it coming. Real talk.
Right? So like when and you already know this, you cut your arm, and it's not a Band-Aid that heals the cut on your arm. Your body,
the Neosporin, doesn't that heal?
Well, it's definitely not that either.
Because if you cut a steak and you put Neosporin on the cut in the steak, doesn't that heal the cut in the steak?
Absolutely not. No, because that steak does not have the innate wisdom or the innate intelligence that your body has right now to be able to heal itself. So I think if we start right there, that belief system is that we're designed to be able to heal and to be well. And then like you said, it just doesn't need any interference. So let's not put crappy stuff into our body that would interfere with our body's ability to heal. Like we've been talking in our other segments, we've been talking a lot about the gut microbiome, gut health. Let's make sure that we're putting healthy nutrients to make sure that our gut is healing and not breaking down or becoming dyshyphenized or out of balance, right? So we got to make sure that we're doing those things every single day.
Yeah, but do you believe, and this is where the great divide happens, is you fall really into one of two camps. Either you have moved your faith over to a medical system or into pills, potions, lotions, or things from the outside in, or you're in the camp of like, no, wait a second, greatest doctor in the world is inside of me, that there's a real healing power inside my body that's programmed for health, and that if that doctor inside me is the greatest, I want to do everything I can to work with that doctor. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you went to some special doctor. In fact, I'm going to Spain here in a few weeks, going back to Spain, going to see one of our friends, Dr. Raymond Helu. He's a cellular biologist. He's an incredible doctor. He's one of the doctors in the healthcare savants that I got to work with to overcome late stage cancer. And, when I'm going to go over there, and when anybody goes over there, if you were going to see this doctor because you thought he was the best, I can promise you, you're going to follow every single thing that he told you to do because you believe he's the best doctor. Well, the great news is the greatest doctor isn't in Spain. It's not in New York City. It's not on some remote island in Italy. The greatest doctor's inside of you. And if you know that to be true, then you really can begin to implement and adopt and live this above down, inside out way of thinking. So you're intentionally working on removing interference, seeking about improving your health, not searching for more healing, searching for less interference. But the biggest problem, Dr. Rob, and this happens, I've done it, you've done it, we all do it, is when life gets busy and life gets chaotic and life gets stressful, instead of leaning more into that principle, that foundational kingdom principle, that immutable law, we actually put it on the back burner, right? So what's usually the number one thing you put to the side when all those things happen? You stop going to the gym. You start eating comfort food. You're taking less time to be outside. You start literally imploding on top of yourself because you're abandoning the things that you really want to lean into more. When I got sick and I began to lose, I got sick. When my body was no longer adapting and they had diagnosed me with cancer, this metabolic condition that I had created, I can tell you this right now, when that happened for me, I didn't lean out of my principles. I leaned into them more because I didn't need less of that. I needed to anchor into it more because I was in a moment of crisis and I had to go dive deep to find out what do I need to make sure that I'm doing to support this doctor, the best doctor in the world, best doctor in the universe, the ultimate healer, the doctor inside of me. That is a big problem as well, not knowing who the best doctor is, and then when you're going through something, abandoning that or looking outside in.
And I think it's important that we talk about why people abandon it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what most people do. And here's why you will abandon that principle, even though you know it to be true.
Yeah.
You really don't believe it. I don't know that you believe it to be true, but the reason that you'll abandon it is because doing those things many times that are moving you towards optimal health are hard. Okay, they're hard, or they're painful. They're uncomfortable. They're the things that you really don't want to face. You don't want to lean into those things, right? You were just talking about even on the relationship thing. You know, that's even one of those things where somebody has an argument, and rather than leaning into why the person felt that way, that person will just stop communicating. They'll avoid, they'll ignore, and that only makes the problem worse. So when we avoid and ignore your health, it also makes that problem even worse. I don't know that it's probably a smart thing to do to go to the gym and exercise with weights that feel great on your muscles. You want to exercise with weights that are hard to lift because that's what's growing your muscle. So the challenge would be that when that does happen is to ask yourself, number one, is ask better questions. What is it that I can be doing right now in order to move myself into a place of better health? And that may mean, you know what? Not eating the ice cream that you want to eat because you're stressed out right now and overwhelmed and just got this whatever diagnosis, and giving yourself permission to eat it because you can and it's going to make you somehow feel better, knowing that it's going to make the problem worse later on down the road. So ask yourself those better questions, but then take action. And like you said, lean into the hard thing. When you lean away from that hard thing, you know, it's only going to lead to disaster later on down the road. So I think that's where you have to get really honest with yourself and say, you know what, am I willing to do that hard thing right now? Am I willing to sacrifice not doing that thing right now that I know is harming me, right? You know, how we said, it's easy to do for whatever reason with relationships. It's like, you know that person's not good for you. The hard thing is to lean away from that person or not be with that person, but it's comfortable to be with that person. It's comfortable when it comes to your health to continue to keep on eating the foods that you know that you should not be eating. That's why they call it comfort food. Comfort food doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy food, and you know that. And I think what that's doing right now is that's getting us into the second mistake that people make. And the second mistake that people make is they know that they need to be doing things to be healthier. So they then stick one toe in the healthy water, but they still have one toe in the unhealthy waters. This is a huge problem right now, even in our space. You probably heard us talk about biohacking, for example. In other words, it's saying, I'm going to do something that is healthy. Let's say the biohack is doing a cold plunge. Well, doing a cold plunge can burn a ton of calories by doing this cold plunge. That's easy. But then later on that day, you get the sniffles, you get a fever, and you end up going to the drugstore down the road to get the ibuprofen or the whatever to bring the fever down, but you just did something earlier that morning that was, quote, healthy. So you've got one toe in and one toe out. That right there is probably the most dangerous place to be, because that means that you really don't know where the heck you're at.
Dude, if you don't know where you're going, all roads will get you there, right? You have to know, you have to have a foundational core value. One of the quotes we've used over the years is, who can really anchor to an unanchored mind? If you're not anchored, you can't even anchor to anything, because everything that comes along, you really don't know how to make good decisions. You know, somebody would say, well, what's wrong with, taking medication for a symptom? Well, I don't know that there's anything wrong with that per se, other than you're drugging your body, you're putting chemicals into your system, and you're doing it based off faulty information that the symptom is making you sick, versus that's part of the healing process. So this is a huge mistake. I'm glad you brought this up, because you find a lot of people vacillating back and forth between the medical industrial complex and trying to live in this holistic, healthy lifestyle. You just can't do both of those and make it. In fact, like you said, it's probably worse, because you really end up chasing so many different squirrels around the parking lot, you don't even know where you're headed. I know that when I had to go all in, I had to, because I had this belief, when they diagnosed me, they're telling me you're dead. They're telling me it's lethal. You're going to be dead in a few months, maybe 2 months to 2 years, best case scenario. I'm like, man, if I've ever believed anything in my life, I better believe it now. Because if I don't pick a side, if I don't really dive in and go 100% into what I believe and prove that to be true, then I'm going to be screwed. Because if you can imagine, I remember even going over, I'd gotten an MRI of my brain and a CT of my chest from the doctor's recommendation there in Spain, because they wanted to see what was going on there, making sure that everything was getting better. I'd already gone through a few rounds of treatments naturally there in Spain. And I remember talking to the oncologist there, the radiologist that was at this clinic, and he was like, asking me what I was going through, what had happened, what was the diagnosis. And I was telling him what I was doing, and he's like, that they've got so many clinical trials available to you now, and that these could really help be a miracle cure for you. And I'm like, so tell me, what in the world is a clinical trial? I mean, is it phase 1? Is it phase 2? Is it phase 3? How many people actually get through these trials and don't end up dying? He's like, no, here's the thing is, what our system has that you don't get is, we've got tons of data. We work with millions and millions and millions of people. And he goes, this is why what I'm telling you right now could be the difference maker for you. And I'm like, yeah, but millions and millions of data of a bunch of dead people doesn't really inspire me to want to go down that road. So I tell you that to be like, if I wasn't fully committed and knew that, listen, I didn't want to treat the cancer, I wanted to treat me. I wanted to remove interference, detoxify my body, strengthen my immune system, give my body real food nutrition, heal myself metabolically. If I didn't go all in with that and I straddled the fence, it's that death by a la carte, a little bit of that drug there, a little bit of immunotherapy here, a little bit of a chemo and radiation there. Yet I'm eating organic food here. I'm taking these natural supplements there. I'm doing IV vitamin C. You just start going between all these different modalities, and none of it is actually working for you, because none of it really is being done in order to help you adapt to your environment. So I hope that's connecting the dots here when we're talking about you're your best advocate. Health is your most important asset. The best doctors inside of you. You've got to know that. And if you do know that, then you can really move into a place of where you're no longer living in fear. You're no longer allowing the propaganda, the medical dogma, the lies we're being fed from the medical industrial complex that's telling us that you are broken. I'm telling you, this is why you want to listen to this podcast. We're not going to let you go back to the system. Stop being a customer. Get out of the system. That is the real talk. The number one thing you can do is listen to what we're telling you, and not just do as we say, do as we do and as we did. I'm living proof, you are too, Dr. Rob, that when you create the right environment, great things are more likely to happen. And none of those great things include drugs, surgeries, vaccines, medications, that outside in type gimmicky type protocols.
Thanks for saying that, because that's the last mistake that we'll talk about today is this. And the mistake is that you are waiting for a crisis to happen before you actually do something about it. In other words, and you know what? It's really not your fault, but it is. Okay, it's your fault for not asking better questions.
Right.
Okay, but it's not your fault in that that's what you've been taught your entire life. You've been taught how to chase symptoms. You are a symptom chaser. That's what the drug cartel would have you to believe, because that's what makes them money. Is if you have a symptom, if you have a pain, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, whatever the number is, whatever the symptom is, whatever the disease is, now that's when you have a problem, and that's when you should do something about it. So what ends up happening is you wait until the heart attack happens, you wait until the stroke happens, you wait until whatever the crisis is before you do anything about it. What if you treated your vehicle or your car that way? Or like you said, what if you treated your teeth that way? What if you waited until all of your teeth fell out to actually then start brushing your teeth?
Wait for the tooth pain.
Yeah, wait for the teeth. You would never ever do that. And so you wouldn't wait until the your car engine exploded to actually change your oil. You take better care of your automobile. You take better care of your teeth than you do your actual health. So you have to be proactively doing things. And it goes back to point number one, is doing those things on a daily basis that build health, and don't wait for the crisis to happen, because by the time the crisis happens, it's already too late.
It is for a lot.
And many of you will go, you know what, but I'm healthy. And we'll go, why do you feel like you're healthy? Well, because I really don't have any symptoms. I really don't have any pain. You're a symptom chaser. You better know if you're healthy or you're not healthy. If you've heard any of the other podcasts, we talk about the importance of metabolic health and how all diseases are downstream of poor metabolic health, which is why we designed the metabolism score. You can go to metabolismscore.com, take that quiz to see where your metabolism is, because that right there is going to be an indicator of how you're doing from a health standpoint, regardless if you have any kind of symptom, any kind of pain, any of those things, before you ever get to a crisis position. Take it from us. You don't want to wait until you've lost your health to decide to do something about it, because it's going to cost you way more time, way more energy, and a ton more money to do something about it once you're in crisis.
Yeah, this hits home with me, because that is a big mistake. And over the years, we've been in clinical practice and been teaching and educating and speaking all over the world at this point now for 25 years. We've talked with thousands and thousands of people. How many stories could we tell of people waiting till it's too late? They didn't understand point number one. They're vacillating back and forth with every other doctor and latest fad in the healthcare industry. And then they wait to get that massive heart attack, or like I said, that cancer diagnosis, and then they're willing to do whatever. This hit home with me with my father. Heck, in July, or excuse me, I guess it'll be in April 9th. June 9th, I lost my father. And this was back in 2008. And my dad was that classic guy who just thought he was healthy because he didn't have any symptoms yet. And then all of a sudden, he gets this out of nowhere cancer diagnosis. And guess what my father was ready to do, Dr. Rob? He was ready. So for the first time since I'd even known him, he joined a gym and started going to the gym, started walking, started doing things to increase his cardiovascular health. He actually changed his diet, did a complete 180, and kudos to him. Made a complete 180 change with his diet. He started doing so many things he was never, ever willing to do. He stopped drinking soda. He stopped eating cookies. Like, he did all these things that would be considered healthy, yet he waited till it was too late. The medical system had already gotten their claws in. he didn't even tell us he had the cancer until 6 months later. I've been going through rounds of antibiotics and all these treatments. It already destroyed his immune system. And it was crazy. And then he did everything he could do to get well, and it was too late. So I'm just telling you that don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait for the crisis. Trust me, we already know the crisis is coming, not because you got bad genetics or that you're getting older. The crisis is coming because we already know that almost 94% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. And you just look around, 42% of us are obese. And this is what blows my mind. When you start looking around at all the sick people and all the crisis and all the drugs, man, it seems like the medical system is the number one cause of all coincidences, right? Every time you see this
she would then go back into that medical system. Like even when the COVID stuff happened, she got the vaccine,
Right.
she got all the jabs, she got all the things. And the next thing you know, she's diagnosed with cancer. And literally 1 month to the day that she was diagnosed, she died. And she was doing all of the medical interventions, but it wasn't until she started having the symptoms that she called me asking me what to do. And by that time, it was already too late. But that was a classic example of the one toe in, one toe out. Then lost my dad, who, like your dad, said, hey, I'm healthy because I feel good. He's like, I'm healthy because I feel good. I'm thin. I'm not overweight. All of those things. Well, he died exactly 2 years after my stepmom did. Same thing. He was the one toe in, one toe out person, and he was using symptoms as his barometer of health. Do not use symptoms as your barometer of health. If you want a barometer of health, look at the things that you're doing every single day to build your health, regardless of how it is that you feel, and do not wait for that crisis to hit. And we get it. You're being taught this. I can't tell you how many times that we're anywhere and somebody finds out what it is that we do, and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm a really healthy person. Can you tell me what I should be taking or supplementing for my high cholesterol? Well, number one is, who told you that cholesterol was a bad thing? Cholesterol is in your body to be able to heal and repair your body. And so they're like, but I don't want to take the statin drugs for whatever reason, or I'm on a statin drug. And this is interesting. Speaking of statin drugs, we're talking about this yesterday. As there was a research study, you can look it up in PubMed, that showed that it took these people that had high LDL levels. And these were people who had high LDL levels, high LDL cholesterol, after having done a ketogenic diet, okay? So that right there tells you something about a ketogenic diet as well. Listen to other podcasts. We talk about this. So what they did is they fed these people Oreo cookies. And what they showed is that the people who ate Oreo cookies compared to the group of people that were taking the statins, high dose statins, the cholesterol, the LDL lowered more in the people eating the Oreo cookies than did in the group taking the statin medication. So
Oreo cookies must be healthy.
And they're
according to the medical system.
Don't go eat a bunch of Oreo cookies. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying right there is these statins aren't even doing what they're telling you they're supposed to be doing. But the lie is that cholesterol is bad, right? The lie is that when you do have this high LDL, that's somehow going to contribute to you having a heart attack. And that's actually not even true, which is insane, but that's what you've been taught. And that's why you'll come to us going, what supplement can I take to lower my LDL naturally? You know what you are? You are that one toe in and one toe out person, because you just don't understand or have a belief system that God didn't design you to have high cholesterol in the first place. He programmed your body to heal and to be well. Something's just interfering with your body, and it may be out of balance, but you know what? You may actually have the LDL because the body's doing the right thing for the right reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another lie they've told us medically that, everything now is a biomarker, and everything's now a biomarker, then everything needs to be treated with drugs. That study is so funny to me. What a level of cognitive dissonance where Oreo cookies lowered your cholesterol, clearly because they're loaded with seed oil, and seed oil lowers your LDL cholesterol. Now it raises your LP(a), which is your oxidized cholesterol, which is really what's associated with plaquing of the arteries. But it just blows up in their face because now they're like, well, crap. I guess as if LDL is killing people and Oreo cookies make it lower than our drugs,
we should eat Oreo.
But we can't recommend Oreo cookies because we like a bunch of jackasses, and then we know Oreo cookies aren't even healthy for you. It just throws a monkey wrench into their flawed theology, and I love it when that happens. Nick Norwood's pretty cool. He does a lot of this stuff. It's really interesting, but it was published, and it's real. It's real, but these are the lies that we believe. It goes back to knowing who made you to be healthy. God made you to be healthy. You are already healed. You don't need any more healing. You need less interference. Don't vacillate back and forth. And when you talked about Lily and your dad, my dad too, I didn't say this about him, but he was really one of the reasons I got into health and wellness, because he'd go to the chiropractor when he had pain.
Yep.
But he would also go get his physical checkup from the doctor, get his prostate examined, get his colonoscopies, get on blood pressure medications. Yet he would take vitamins, and he would want to go to some doctor up in Oklahoma to do some chelation therapy. He was so mixed back and forth with the system, and ultimately it cost him his life. But no, this just goes right back to why you got to know what the health is, right? You got to know what the health is, because if you don't know what that is, you are completely screwed. And we're not recommending Oreo cookies. We're not recommending statins. What we are saying is stop treating biomarkers. Stop treating symptoms. Stop chasing symptoms. Stop dabbling back and forth. Get your mind right. Know who God created you to be. Health is the normal. Health and disease are the exact same thing. The body doing the right thing under the circumstances.
Yeah, so anchor yourself into, here's what I'm hearing is anchor yourself into the truth that you just said. What do they say? An unanchored mind will anchor itself onto anything.
You got it.
And that right there is what's happening. So anchor onto us, anchor onto a happy, healthy lifestyle. You know what? We're going to lead you in the direction of the promised land so that you can be able to live heaven on earth while you are here on earth, unlike the hell that people are living on earth right now because they've been lied to. So
yeah, no doubt. Well said, sir. And listen, we are, and there's a lot of people that, hey, we're well connected in the health and wellness space. We want to even bring more people on, jump on their podcasts as well. But remember, if you know anything about us, and if you didn't hear anything that we've ever said, remember this one thing, that God does not make junk. Okay, you are made in His image, and that health really is the normal. The greatest doctor in the world is on the inside of you, and that's never going to change in a billion years. It hasn't changed to this point, and it's never going to change. The lies don't change the truth, and that is the truth, and that is the real talk.
There is a real talk. Y'all have a great day. Remember, like it, share it, rate it, review the show. That's if you want to thank us, that's the best way you can thank us right there. So you guys have a blessed day, have a blessed week, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.